Bajaj has downgraded, but you got to understand the Pulsar NS is basically a KTM 200 retuned. The Bajaj Dominas are basically a KTM retuned. So the Pulsar 250 is an actual Pulsar which has been built from ground up. Welcome back to my channel. So there are quite a few people who are extremely disappointed with reference to the Pulsar 250, with reference to the specification, with maybe the way it looks as well, because it kind of looks like the bigger brother of the 220, and majorly with reference to the specification. So I think Bajaj has taken a strategic move regarding this, and there are certain plus points that you cannot overlook as well as the negatives. So let me start with the plus points over here. See, this bike is a true Pulsar. When I say a true Pulsar, this has been built from ground up on the Pulsar DNA. Now, if you compare the NS200 as opposed to the 250F, the 250F will definitely look like a downgrade because it's lost the triple spark plug, it's lost the liquid cooling, it's lost a 6-speed gearbox. So it looks as if Bajaj has downgraded, but you got to understand the Pulsar NS is basically a KTM 200 retuned. The Bajaj Dominas are basically a KTM retuned. So the Pulsar 250 is an actual Pulsar which has been built from ground up. A brand new engine, a brand new simple engine, nothing too jazzy about it. Advantage, it can be fixed anywhere in India. A brand new chassis, a brand new suspension, and overall the riding dynamics of the Pulsar should be impressive because I have previously owned a Pulsar 220F and I have ridden it. I've ridden at 125 all day long, so I found that pretty capable, and I'm assuming the 250 will take it a notch above. So it is a actual true blue Pulsar to begin with. Number two, if you compare it to the actual Pulsar, the Pulsar 220F, it's basically just a few thousand rupees more, but you get a brand new digital console as well and a brand new bike in general. So it is a definite upgrade for people who are looking at purchasing the 220. This is a definite advantage for them. And you got to understand the Pulsar is now aimed towards the mass and not towards the class. I understand Pulsar initially, when they had introduced the bike, it was a benchmark in terms of performance. The definitely male ad, if you all remember, the Pulsar 150, 180, the 180 produced around 15 horsepower, which was like wow for that particular point of time. Eventually the Charisma came in, so Pulsar upgraded to a twin spark plug DTSI model, which was also well received. Then came the Pulsar 220. I remember Pulsar 220 when they had released the specs. It was supposed to be India's first endogenously made bike with a fuel injection, and that was a wow technology at that particular point of time as well. Obviously, the Hero Glamour was introduced with the fuel injection just few months before the Pulsar 220, so it lost its claim to be the first Indian bike, but it was one of the first Indian bikes manufactured with fuel injection. So what I'm trying to say is Pulsar always upped the level in terms of performance. Then came the KTMs, then came the Apache 310 RRs and BMW GS that kind of became the benchmark in terms of performance. And I'll emphasize on the KTM aspect because KTM has always been the bike that we aspire to in terms of performance, aspire to fit people who have low budget. Let me emphasize on that as well. So now suddenly Pulsar, from being a model that creates a benchmark and creates this is what the level should be, has been diverted to a model that can be easily purchased by the mass. And this is where I feel it was disappointing, because after seeing how the Pulsar 220 got upgraded to the NS200, I was assuming obviously the KTM 250 engine will be retuned. Bajaj would put all the bells and whistles in the engine, give it 3 spark plugs, maybe 4 spark plugs, I don't know, 4 valves, a 6-speed gearbox, much thicker tires, performance that outmatches everyone in the 250cc category. But no, nothing of that did take place. What Bajaj has done is introduce the bike that is the cheapest in the market, and this is a very, very important point in a price-sensitive market like India. Bajaj has produced 24.5 horsepower, which is adequate. As compared to the FZ250, it is far more powerful as compared to its competitors like the Bajaj Domina 250 as well as the Gixxer. It lacks, it's behind them around 2 to 3 horsepower, and it produces a decent torque of 21 Nm of torque, so at around 6000 rpm. So with reference to power figures, theoretically there isn't much to talk about, but Bajaj has actually promised during the launch that do not go with the power figures, ride the bike and see how it makes you feel, and it will definitely impress you. Obviously, I'm waiting for a bike for a test ride, and that will take some time. But again, Bajaj could have done so much more. But if you want so much more, you already have the KTMs in the market, you have the Dominars in the market, you have liquid cooled engines in the market. If you want something simple, something at a pocket friendly price range, and I'm assuming this will be one of the most fuel efficient bikes, then the 250 makes a lot of sense. One thing I like what Bajaj has emphasized is on the exhaust note, and I feel the exhaust note has a pretty nice bass to it. So kudos to Bajaj for that particular part as well. But this is my first impression. People who were expecting it to be the best in the market will be disappointed, but people who are looking at purchasing the 220F will be absolutely thrilled that they're getting a much better bike at almost the same rate. So that's it. Leave your comments, and I look forward for seeing you in my next video. Thank you.